Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Wrestle Wrap. I'm your host Connor Williams, and today we'll be doing the Raw review. That's right, we're back at it with the Raw review, and it starts here. So breaking it off, guys, we had Miz TV. It was meant to be the Fiend with a moment of bliss with Drew McIntyre. That all got scrapped, don't know why, but it got scrapped, and now we have Miz TV. Randy Orton comes out, he starts saying he can't wait to get his hands on Drew McIntyre tonight. Turns his back to the Miz and says, if you're going to cash in, just do it. Miz says, let's hold our concentration. We've got the faces tonight. He doesn't say the faces. He says the New Day and Drew. Let's concentrate on that. And yeah, basically, Orton's just absolutely mad. Says that he's fuming. He wants... And then, obviously, the New Day come out. Drew McIntyre comes out. And then... Randy Orton RKO's Kofi Kingston. There's a brawl breaking out there, and Xavier Woods gets lobbed outside by Miz and Morrison. And then he gets an RKO on Drew, Randy does. And it leaves with the heel standing tall, ready for tonight, later on tonight in the main event. Great foreshadowing. I think it's obvious what's going to happen now. But really, really good. It was a really good way to start it. I don't think it'll be as good as Moment of Bliss would have been with Bray Wyatt. A bit gutted they scrapped that for whatever reason. I think it's something to do with Bray not being there or... whatever. A little bit disappointed, but what can you do? Nothing really. I don't think this is WWE's. I don't know. It might be WWE's fault. I personally don't think it is, though. But yeah. Next, we have a second chance triple threat match for the Survivor Series spot. We have Riddle versus Jeff Hardy versus Elias. Elias starts singing. Jeff Hardy interrupts him before he can even begin. Riddle just comes out because there's no rivalry there, and the match starts, and it was a really good match. Elias and Riddle and Jeff Hardy really worked well. I thought the transitions between Hardy and Riddle when they were battling was really, really good. They look smart. Riddle brings a burst of pace. Jeff Hardy is a little bit slower than he used to be, but still has a good burst of pace. Elias shocks me every day that the man wrestles in jeans. Absolutely mental. But yeah, it was a good match. It ended up with Riddle winning. He got the Bro Stein, I think it is. The one where he does that. Oh no, it's the Bro something. I can't remember. But he gets that for the win and stands tall. Then we head backstage. It was a good win for Riddle. I'd give this match probably 6 out of 10. Really, really good match. I think Riddle was the right winner. Obviously, Elias and Jeff are going to continue their rivalry. And that's perfectly fine. I've not got a problem with that. I think it's a good rivalry. Yeah, but then we head backstage. AJ says he's the missing piece. Riddle's the missing piece. We've got a good team here. Then Sheamus comes. He goes, I can't believe Riddle, that little pipsqueak, I think he calls him. I know, really great. And then AJ says, I'm the captain. And Sheamus is like, well, you're not my captain. And it just made me think, like, they do this every year with Survivor Series. Like, they're meant to be against Team Smackdown. They're meant to set the differences aside, but obviously they're still competitive and rivals. And it made me think just after the draft, like literally just after where Riddle will have just left SmackDown, Sheamus will have just left SmackDown. It made me think, is this what it used to be? You might be able to put it in the comments, but I remember Kane and the Big Show chokeslamming Batista through a car. Even last year with NXT, that added something because like, do the rosters really hate each other now when they swap in between so often? I don't think they do. I think the rivalry's not there. But NXT last year offered something different. They were the young up-and-comers who were going against the main roster, established stars. And that added a different dynamic, obviously led by DX, Shawn Michaels and Triple H. I don't know. This is just my opinion. I think maybe it's lost its touch this year. Obviously NXT can't be involved. I think that's COVID reasons it wasn't involved. And that's a shame because NXT would have added something to this, I feel. But it is what it is. COVID is just unfortunate. It's just rubbish for everyone, isn't it? But yeah. Next we go backstage where Drew Gulak tries to join the Hurt Business. He's dressed well, but MVP points out that it's a clip-on tie. They beat him down. R-Truth comes out, pins him for the 24/7 champion. This has got to be his 100th time with the belt. Who knows? I'm losing count. But yeah. So, and then we see Shayna Baszler versus Lana. This was just a squash match. Nothing more, nothing less. Baszler stamps on Lana's arm. Really brutal. Easy squash match though. And then afterwards, they go to put Lana through the table. Again, Nia Jax does. Mandy Rose and Dana Brooke interrupt it. Say enough's enough. They go backstage where they're saying, listen, just stay out of trouble. To Lana, Mandy Rose and Dana Brooke, that is. Yeah, the match was just a 3 out of 10. It was just your stereotypical squash match. I don't know what they're doing with Lana, because apparently they're going to make her a babyface, like a top-end babyface. But her getting battered every day isn't exactly screaming a good babyface to me. It's screaming a bit, yeah, just, yeah. But we'll have to wait and see. I could be wrong. So next we have AJ Styles, who brings out Team Raw. Obviously, trying to get them all on the same page. And a fight breaks out. Well, not a fight, a disagreement. They argue. Strowman it's really weird to see. Is Strowman a face or a heel? He seems to flicks in this, in between. I've heard apparently they are going to move him back to a face. He's just going to be like the Big Show, isn't he, where he's one in between. Then you've got Lee and Riddle versus Strowman and Sheamus. It was a really good match with AJ, special guest referee. I thought Riddle did really well with Sheamus and Strowman, and so did Keith Lee. Keith Lee looked really, really good in this. It was a couple of times him and Strowman would just batter into each other. Really, really good. AJ Styles got hit a lot of the time. There's one bit where he got hit and then he got hit again, and then he gets in between in between Keith Lee and Strowman and crushes him, and then AJ's bodyguard goes to get in the ring but then doesn't. And then obviously AJ comes back from it. Strowman looked really good in this as well. Riddle won with a roll up after Sheamus bro kicked Strowman to show that obviously they hate each other still. It was a good match. I gave it a 7 out of 10. I thought it wasn't the best match I've seen ever, but it wasn't the worst. It was just a good match. Storytelling on it was really good. Adds to Survivor Series, which I'm hoping next week's Go Home show will, because it needs just that little bit more spice, just a little bit more flavour for me. But yeah. Next we have Nikki Cross backstage talking to Alexa, saying it's all my fault, I'm really sorry, I should have been there for you. And then she says to Alexa, listen, choose me or him. Alexa blows a load of flowers in her face and chooses the Fiend. I think this was a good choice by Alexa. Fiend is hot right now. Alexa with the Fiend is hot right now. She obviously hasn't done that for all that reason, but it's a good story right now, and you'd be daft to separate them, especially this early on. I don't know what the plans are for these. Maybe they stay together forever. Maybe she stitches him. I don't know, but it's fantastic, and I love it at the minute. Next, we have Lashley versus Titus O'Neil. MVP comes out, starts going on about how they'll be tag champions, because they'll beat the New Day. Lashley is there. Titus O'Neil comes out, says he's a businessman and he wants a match. Lashley says, you should have listened. This will be your first and last. And this, again, was a squash match. Titus O'Neil got a couple of digs in, a couple of punches in, but then Lashley ultimately speared him, put him in the master lock, and Titus couldn't get out of it. And that's how it ended. This match was also a squash match. I gave this a 4 out of 10. It was slightly better than the Lana squash match, but not by an awful lot. I gave this a 4. It was alright. It's just to make Lashley look good, innit? And it did make him look good, so did its purpose, 4 out of 10. Next we go backstage and Drew McIntyre speaks to Sheamus, and again they joke. Sheamus says he wishes he'd joined the Survivor Series team. Drew says, oh I know, we used to be so good together. They've done this a couple of times and I don't know what they're teasing, because obviously Sheamus is a heel, Drew's a face. I don't know what's going on here. We'll probably never know knowing WWE. This will probably be dropped in a bit. But yeah, thought it was interesting. Next we have Asuka, who beats Nia Jax. It was a good start to the match, fast paced. Obviously the Raw team were there as mutual spirit, but I think they were mainly chanting for Asuka. It was good, really good. Baszler ends up interrupting the match though, attacking Asuka. Then Lana's put through the table again, and apparently Mandy Rose is injured in all of this. She gets lobbed out of the ring by Nia Jax. Lands funny and has hurt her arm. We don't know if it's a shoot, if it's real, fake, injury. Hopefully it's not real. For both her and Nia. Nia's already getting stick for being an unsafe worker. She doesn't need more. I don't even think this is unsafe. This is just unfortunate, but she doesn't need unfortunate injuries as well. It won't help her case. And obviously Mandy Rose, no one wants to see anyone get hurt. So I hope it is just a play on. It's a storyline, and I hope it's not real. Next we have the 24/7 title match. This had a number of people in. Drew Gulak, R-Truth, Lindsay Dorada, Gran Metalik, Otis's teammate Tucker. It took me ages to remember him then. Tucker was in it as well. And this changes about 6 times between all of them. Tozawa was in it as well. And ultimately Gulak wins it, and then R-Truth AA's him because his childhood hero is John Cena, even though R-Truth's got about 15 years on Cena, 10 years. He wins with the AA and runs off with his belt, for that being his 101th time. I think the real number's like 58th or something like that. But yeah, I gave this a 3 out of 10. Didn't like it. Didn't think it felt like a filler because they ran out of ideas, because obviously they had to rewrite Raw with Bray not being there. And this is what happens when they do this. You get matches like this. It's a shame, because put any of them in a normal match, they'd have done well. Or put anyone. That roster's huge. Put anyone in this spot and like make them have a decent match. Sell them a bit. Don't do this. This was just... But this is my personal opinion. I don't like the 24/7 Championship. It's never as good as the Hardcore used to be. It never will be. I think it's just a bit of a mimic and a gimmick. And but that's my personal opinion, and I hate everything clearly. But some people might disagree, and that's fine. Next we have Retribution. Is Mustafa Ali versus Ricochet. It was really, really good. They gel really well together. Ricochet hit him with a brain buster. There was a moment where Ricochet actually was on the top rope with his back felt, and Mustafa Ali jumped up and backbreakered him, and gosh, that looked brutal. That looked so good. Ultimately, it ended with Mustafa Ali hitting his new submission move. It's a bit like the rings of satin, but his legs up there as well. Really, really creative, really good. I like that he's got a finishing move now of a submission as well. I like where they're going with Retribution. This is how you do it. Book them with wins. Don't have them get squashed every 2 minutes. It doesn't exactly want me to watch it every week. This is how you book them strong. Mustafa Ali, again, fantastic performer. It's good to see him getting the push. He admitted he was the hacker a couple of weeks ago. Really, really good. Obviously came out and said how to pronounce his name properly, hence why I'm doing it. I think he's really, really good talent. I think this could, if they don't drop the ball, be a really, really good storyline. I gave the match, I gave it a 7. It was really, really good. They gel well together. It looked brutal, some of the moves, and yeah, a 7 out of 10. Next, we have Randy Orton backstage, who finds out from Adam Pearce that he's got to defend his title next week against Drew McIntyre on the Going Home show. Interesting. I don't know if they will change the title. It's a bit soon to do that. And I've heard Orton's going to keep it till Mania to face Edge, and that's why Drew dropped it. But then I also heard that Drew was going to be team captain of Survivor Series, whereas now I don't think Drew's got anything going on. So it'll be interesting to see. We'll have to wait and see, obviously. But yeah, well, we'll have to wait and see. Maybe Drew joins it next week instead of someone else, because I've heard he was going to be a member of it, but I don't know. Next, we have the faces of Drew, Kofi, and Xavier Woods beat Randy Orton, Morrison, and Miz. This match was really good pace. Morrison is so fast. He's so athletic. There's a bit where he does a Samoan drop, but then bounces back onto his feet, and he's just a really athletic guy. And him with Woods and Kofi really set a fast pace. Bear in mind, Drew's a bit faster, but Randy Orton's quite a slow worker. And I think they just added a bit more to the match. Orton walks off though on Morrison when he goes to get a tag. It leaves Drew to Claymore kick. I gave this an 8 out of 10. It was actually quite a fun match to watch for the main event. I thought the faces looked strong. I think that's the right thing to do on your one and to end your show here. I really liked it. They obviously foreshadowed it in the beginning with the heels standing tall, so it was always going to balance itself out. But we'll have to wait and see what happens on next week's show. For the whole of Raw, I'd probably give it a 7 out of 6/7. 7, stick on a number. 7 out of 10. It was okay. There was no Fiend, obviously, which makes me think that it was Moment of Bliss was cancelled because Bray couldn't be there. Bit disappointed. I think you could have just done it with Alexa and then did something with Bray teasing or something. I don't know. They obviously decided against that. And I think Raw does miss the Fiend when he's not on it. Unlike Smackdown, where they had Roman Reigns and Usos, I think this does miss it when the Fiend's not there, because there's no one really. I'm not that sold on Orton as champion. The Legend Killer bit was good, but they've took that away now. Drew, he's alright, yeah, but I think you miss the Fiend, don't you, really? But it was a good it was a good Raw. It was solid. I hope the Going Home show next week's better. And that is everything from me. I've been Connor Williams at WrestleRap. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share this with your friends, and follow me on Twitter down below. I'll be sharing it on there. It will be my personal Twitter, not WrestleRaps, because it's easy to do it off one account. And peace out, guys. Stay safe.